Thank you, Madam Speaker. And good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Iowa House. As I begin this farewell address, I would like to start out by thanking those who made my service here possible. I often introduce you as my greatest cheerleader and my toughest critic. So to my wife, Angie, I want to say thank you for the countless hours of campaigning and planning events and picking up the slack to keep our farm growing and our fence business running and filling in as a dad while I was called away somewhere else and on and on. And all of this on top of the many regular duties you so faithfully attend to in the regular course of events. Anyone who knows me well knows that I couldn't claim success without your constant support and work behind the scenes. Somehow a mere thank you seems wholly inadequate. So this fall, as we celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, I'm sure you will enjoy not having to campaign and door knock as in previous years. That's an early anniversary present. And now to our children, Lydia, Gabrielle, Natalie, Josiah, Joelle, Rebecca, Hannah, Danielle, Elliot, Micah, and now Brianna. Thank you for the battle-hardened campaign team that you are, a force to be reckoned with. I so appreciate the numerous personal sacrifices you have made so that your dad could be here these past 6 years. My hope is to now make up for some lost time. To understand a day in the life of the Heartsill family, what it looks like, all you need to do is to go to the comics section of your newspaper and find the family circus. Especially when mom sends one of the kids on an errand and you see through the dotted line trail how the child gets a little distracted accomplishing the task that he or she was sent out to do. Now throw a political campaign in the mix of that and it gets many more times complicated. What do you mean that Jeffrey forgot to bring the parade candy? For instance. To say that running for public office has had an impact on my family life is an understatement. How has being a state representative affected the Heartsill family? I'll try to illustrate in terms that you'll understand. It's a Friday evening around the supper table, and our conversation may sound something like this. The chair recognizes my brother from downstairs. For what purpose do you seek the floor? Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would I be in order to suggest a movie night once supper is finished? You are in order. The kids will caucus immediately upstairs while the parents caucus in their room. Now, when you have a large family, it's not always easy to get consensus around which movie to watch or what type of movie you're going to watch. The younger ones typically prefer animated movies, and the older ones want to see either a Western or a whodunit or something that teaches a valuable life lesson. It's a lot harder than what you might think. So mom usually assigns one of the kids the task of blue carding their siblings to help narrow down the choices. And yes, my kids actually use the term blue card at home. And when it comes time for us to be called back to order so that we can have a floor vote, the matter can usually be settled by a voice vote. But when the count is close and/or the chair is suspected of ruling in favor of his or her preference, it is immediately challenged with shouts of division, record. And don't think that you can get away with abstaining from a vote because my kids will immediately invoke Rule 75 with gusto. As a matter of fact, just last week, Mom was escorted to the living room to a vote because of a call of the house had been raised. Yes, this job has had an impact on the life of my family. I would like to thank each and every one of you, my colleagues in the Iowa House, both past and present, who have patiently worked with me on various pieces of legislation. In so doing, I've made some great friendships in the time that I've been here, and I've found that we have a lot more in common than we have differences. I'd like to thank members of the lobby who have been a great resource while working throughout the session and sometimes even during the interim. Again, friendships have been made that are very special to me. To the House Republican caucus staff, thank you for helping me look smarter than what I actually am. As you well know, that takes some doing. To the behind-the-scene brains of this institution, the members of the Legislative Services Agency, thank you for patiently working with me and sometimes humoring me on a wide array of policy topics. I don't know how you folks do what you do and keep all the versions and conversations with legislators straight, but you all do it very, very well. To Ms. Carmen and the entire staff that works in the House Clerk's office, you all are top-notch professionals with courtesy that is unsurpassed. Thank you for making this place a true joy to work in. To our Sergeant of Arms and the keepers of the door, thank you for your warm hospitality each and every time we cross the threshold of this chamber. I want to give a special shout out to Frank Morrow for being my personal informant on the budding relationship between my son Micah and Representative Gassman's previous clerk. None of us can do this job without a larger group of supporters. I'd like to acknowledge the many folks who have encouraged me along the way and contributed to my campaigns with their time, their treasure, and their talent. I couldn't have done it without you. And lastly, I'd like to thank the people of House District 28 who have made this experience possible for 3 consecutive terms. It has been an honor for me to serve as your representative. I have purposed never to make the mistake of referring to the chair that I sit in as my seat, because I know that it actually belongs to you. You have simply granted me the privilege of sitting in it these last 6 years. And while I know that I have not received the votes of everyone in the district, I have endeavored to be found accessible and ready to listen to a different point of view. As the saying goes, if we're all thinking the same thing, then someone isn't thinking. It has also been said that so a man thinketh, so he does. And I believe that much learned in the formative years of our lives shapes our future. I owe a large portion of my identity to the values that my parents instilled in me at an early age. My mom, Faye, has a heart of gold. She is the person responsible cultivating my compassion and my ability to listen to folks whether I agreed with them or not. As I was growing up, my mom had a sign posted on her office window that told a story about 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. The story went something like this. There was an important job to be done. Everybody was asked to do it. Everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when actually nobody did what anybody could have done. Now, while that story is a little confusing to digest the first time through, it has always stuck with me, and it summarizes the values and principles that my mom labored to hammer home to me, that when no one takes responsibility, nothing gets accomplished. My dad, Tonch, on the other hand, gets the credit for me being so hard-headed. In the early 60s, my dad arrived in Iowa with literally the clothes on his back, $15.43 in his pocket, and a trunk full of horseshoeing supplies and an anvil. Fortunately for him, there was plenty of horses in the area that needed shod. In the years to follow, my dad built his own business from the ground up, which took him all over the United States and Canada for the next 35 years, earning him much acclaim and recognition for what he did. Now, I tell you this story to give testimony to how much opportunity and potential exists in this country for each and every one of us if you're willing to work hard for it, if you're willing to work through and past life's obstacles and adversity rather than using it as a perpetual crutch. By the way, I have my dad's anvil that he brought with him to Iowa so many years ago. All the gold in the world couldn't buy that from me. It serves as a daily visual reminder of the principles, the work ethic, and the true grit that my dad ingrained in me. Which brings me full circle to why I chose not to seek re-election. While it's true that Iowa has what's known as a part-time legislature, I would beg to differ that being an Iowa legislator is a part-time job, especially when you factor in all the work that goes into getting the job. I often say that this is the fullest part-time job I've ever had. And I'm not telling anyone here something new about the sacrifices that one must make to run for public office, especially when you have a young family or your own business. In fact, I think the sacrifices of our family are far greater than each of us personally make to get this job. Now, don't get me wrong, the work that we do in the legislature is very important for the people of Iowa. However, for me, in this season of life, the most important job I can do right now for Iowa is being a good dad and a faithful husband. Ronald Reagan is a president who I greatly admire and a man who I had the privilege of meeting when I was 12 years old. President Reagan once said, "If families are the building blocks of society, then society has a great stake in sound families." Great families, great communities are not the product of great government. The greatness of Iowa does not come from the policies that we enact here. Try as we might, we cannot legislate good morals, virtue, self-governance, or personal responsibility. Those sorts of things are not delegated from the top down. They are planted and nourished from the ground up. President Reagan also said, "All great change in America begins at the dinner table." If you want to make Iowa a better place to live and grow a family, then we all can begin tonight by taking a few extra minutes, possibly around the dinner table, and investing time into the lives of the next generation, passing on what we have learned, instilling our values and virtues in the lives of our children and our grandchildren, teaching our kids how to cope with adversity and obstacles in life. Then, get up and do it all over again the next day, and the day after that, until it becomes second nature. If every Iowan purposed to do just that, we would leave this world a much better place. And who knows, it might just catch on. And as a result, we legislators might have a lot less problems to solve and a lot less taxpayer money to expend every session. I would submit to you that we would have a much better Iowa under those conditions than one where we continually haggle over tax dollars and react to base human nature. It's been said that life is like a bank. You get out of it what you put into it, plus a little interest. I believe that saying has more application than just what we do for ourselves. It also has a lot to do with the time that we invest in the lives of others, especially those who are closest to us. As much as I have enjoyed being a part of this institution and getting to know as many of you as I have, I need to take a step back and invest and restore some more dad time with my kids so that one day they too will fondly remember the values and the lessons they got from their old man. And I know full well that my actions haven't always aligned with my Christian witness, and that's not the Lord's fault, that's mine. But I am grateful for His long-suffering patience as He continues to work the rough edges off of me. While I haven't been as vocal with my faith as I probably should have, I've always tried to live it out through my daily walk. St. Francis of Assisi once said, "Preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use words." And by God's grace, I pray that He will grant me the resolve to better that witness to my family and to my community. Until our trails cross again, I wish you all the very best. May God bless you, and may God bless the great state of Iowa. Thank you.